Hello, I'm Patrick Ryan from the Tennessee World Affairs Council, and I am here talking with Governor Don Sundquist of Tennessee for the Japan American Society of Tennessee special project on the impact of Japanese business in Tennessee. Don Sundquist was the 47th governor of Tennessee from 1995 to 2003. Prior to his governorship, he represented Tennessee's 7th congressional district in the United States House of Representatives from 1983 to 1995. As governor of Tennessee, Don Sundquist led economic development efforts resulted in record-breaking capital investment of $40 billion and a gain of over 300,000 jobs in the state during his administration. His leadership in the governor's office included advancing the evolution of the Japan-Tennessee commercial ties and the phenomenal growth in Japanese foreign direct investment, or FDI, in the state. He joins me from his home in Florida. Governor Sundquist, thank you very much for your time and welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be with you, and I look forward to talking about a lot of people helped us attract industry to Tennessee, and they ought to get the credit. Lee Weiland for one, John Gregory, a whole team of people.
Well, we're talking with many of them in this project, so we welcome your referencing them as well. Can we start with a summary of your experience, your professional experience in Japanese commercial investment in Tennessee? Just describe your background as a member of Congress and as governor. Just a general overview of what your experiences have been.
Sure. My first experience started when I was in Congress. Two different occasions. One was I took a trip to Taiwan with some other members of the U.S. Congress, and we stopped in Tokyo, and I wanted to make sure I visited with I wanted to make sure that we thanked them for coming to Tennessee with Nissan. That was Lamar Alexander's project. And so we stopped and we stayed an extra day, and I went over and visited with Nissan and thanked them for coming to Tennessee. And later on, while I was in Congress, we had a project, and a company out of New York, Smith Corona, tried to do in a company out of Bartlett, Tennessee. What they wanted to do, we had one company that wanted to close down Brother Industries, but Brother Industries was a company that manufactured in Tennessee, owned by a company in in New York City. And so they took it to the Senate. The other company was Smith Corona, and they tried to pass some legislation in the Senate that would take a company that was manufactured outside of the state and ban a company that was manufacturing and owned by a foreign company. And I stopped it. And the New York Times had an editorial where they talked about how could a little known Tennessean stop Smith Corona from changing what they could produce. And we defeated that in the Senate, and I led the way for that. And it sort of set the tone for me and international trade, because people in Japan, then it was an editorial in New York Times, they were reading those kind of things. And one thing in Japan that they value highly is loyalty. And so that was a beginning, either going thank Nissan or helping Japan brother industries keep their plant in Bartlett, Tennessee. So that was while I was still in Congress, and I've always been interested in trade. And I was on the Ways and Means Committee in Congress, and I was on the Trade Subcommittee. So it continued. My interest continued when I left the Congress and got involved in Tennessee. And we've had Howard Baker was so involved. He was ambassador. I went over there. We stayed with him on more than one occasion. He helped us. Lamar Alexander brought Nissan in. And during my 8 years, people like Lee Weiland and others, we were very successful. The Japanese value friendship. They value loyalty. We involved with them. We were involved with them socially. I went with a company president to New York, to the opera. We did a lot. We played golf together in Japan and in the United States. And we were involved also in the Southeast and worked together. We also hosted Japan with. We found out what could happen. Denzo hosted me at the auto show in Japan. That's the kind of relationship that we had.
Yeah, we understand that a lot of the important connections that were made were based on trust and relationship building. Can you describe the environment when you took office? The Japanese businesses had already been established in Tennessee, and they were building and bringing in related businesses. But and the 90s were kind of boom years. The economy was doing well. Can you describe to us what the economic situation was in Tennessee at that time, and what challenges you faced in office with foreign direct investment?
Sure. My interest in trade extended as governor, and we invested time, resources, and got to know the Japanese leadership, and they responded. We broke all the records during that 8 years in terms of dealing with Japan. Now, one thing many people don't understand, and that is when you locate a plant in the state, in any state, with that comes the support plants. And so you not only get the opportunity that comes with a major plant like Denso or companies like that, but they affect other areas with other companies, and so it's more than just one company. It's a whole industry when you have a company like, we ended up with an auto plant in Jackson, Tennessee, but you also get all those surrounding plants that come there. So it's hard to measure success, but it goes beyond one company. It's support functions for them.
Right. It's been variously described by some as business magnetism. That when one company comes in, it brings in its suppliers, but it also inspires other companies, to take a look at Tennessee. And clearly, the expansion of Japanese foreign direct investment from 1977, where it was about 2% of the total FDI, to what it is now, almost 60%. has caused other companies to take a look at Tennessee, and
Yeah,
I suspect a lot of that was during your time as governor.
we celebrated it and maximized it. Success breeds success when it comes to recruiting plants. And excuse me. So you can't. It's hard to measure how major it can be. But we were successful thanks to a lot of people, a lot of effort, a lot of leadership by a lot of people.
Can you talk a little bit about what you noticed while you were governor as to the impact on Tennessee communities, large and small, as a result of Japanese businesses coming in? For example, Denso in Maryville, and obviously Nissan in Smyrna, and other companies, Mitsui and others that expanded around the state. Do you have a sense of what that meant to the communities in which they located?
Oh yeah. When we located the plant, and early on, it was my feeling that we were still, despite the fact that Nissan moved in and so many other plants had been worked on and were successful, that they weren't sure Japanese who were looking to locate plants in our state. They had to build confidence in us. And when a plant came in, for instance, we had a school in East Tennessee for the Japanese families. They weren't sure, and frankly, we had to build a trust between the Tennesseans and the Japanese as well. And so that all worked out. It worked out because a lot of people were involved, and we did a lot of things together. In this instance, they went to school, and over time, there was a trust that built up. Or after a lot of leadership, golf, and whatever, and success by the companies, and so it all happens together. I tell you one story. Lamar told me that when Lamar then governor of my predecessor, he said that when you go see Toyota, talk to, meet, and visit with Dr. Toyota. And if we were trying to get his company, Toyota, to locate some things in Tennessee. And he said if you make a good pitch and you get to know him and he gets to know you, you'll get a Denso plant. And because Denso has been just starting to build very, very successfully. And I did that, met with Dr. Toyota. I met with Dr. Toyota every single time I went to Japan. He's a wonderful human being, and he's been very helpful to us. One of the problems we did face, though, was the competition between Nissan and Toyota. And we finally broke that late in my 8 years when we were going after Toyota's new truck. President Bush, they were working with him, and he was a former governor. So we knew we'd have a tough time, but we did work at and were able to land a truck engine plant in Jackson, Tennessee, and very successful. So, you have to do a lot of research. You have to make a presentation, and the effort is well worth it. When I talked about calling on Nissan early on, while I was still in Congress, to say thanks. I also, the 2 weeks before I was leaving office, I was in Tokyo trying to pitch the truck plant. And people are fair. We had a privilege to work with the plants, and I loved going to Tokyo. I went once, twice, sometimes more the 8 years, because you need to be there. You need to see people in person. You need to build a relationship. We had a relationship with Southeast United States and the Japanese. We had our own organization where we would make presentations. And when I went to Tokyo or Japan, a large group of Tennesseans would very often go with us. So it's a full-time job, and the rewards are wonderful because you're dealing with general people.
The relationships clearly were enhanced by your hands-on personal involvement in this. I understand that you attended all 8 sessions of the Southeast U.S.-Japan Association meetings. And I'm told that when you were in Tokyo for one of those, and Senator Howard Baker, who was then ambassador, held an embassy reception, it was the largest turnout of Japanese businesses at an embassy reception that they had ever seen.
That's all true, but we were successful because a lot of people were involved in that, and Howard Baker was a great ambassador as well. Now, one of our senators was the ambassador also now, and now in the U.S. Senate. So we've had an interest in and success with recruiting industries, and you're dealing with young people, successful people, and it was well worth the effort, and it's still going on. But I think we probably did as well in Tennessee as any state because they trusted us. We worked together, and success, as I said, breeds success.
Can you tell us a little bit about the impact that this very close relationship and the ability to bring in, to attract Japanese investment in the state, what that meant to not just the Nashville, Middle Tennessee region, but around the state, Maryville with Denso and other companies in West Tennessee? Did you get feedback or case studies or anecdotes from community leaders of what those investments meant to those communities?
Well, some communities had virtually no industry. One in particular outside of Cookville, in that area, and they had never had a plant come in from overseas, and we ended up with one. But that's true everywhere. And we did training. It was important to a community to help the new plant operate and get started and train. And it's not just signing a piece of paper when a plant's going to locate there. It's everything. It's helping with hiring. It's helping with training. It's helping with education. And in every instance that I can think of, we were dealing with general people from Japan, and they had faith in us that we would deliver. And we didn't buy plants either. We would help with training. We would help with transportation, highways, and Volkswagen. We recruited them down in Chattanooga. It was after I left office, but during the time I was in office, we built new interstate. We had river contact and availability. And so it's preparation. You have to have good preparation. You have to be able to hook him up with the proper time. We're in Tennessee, are centrally located, any direction. And that helped as well. So we had good people, we had good presentations, we supported the Japanese, and we were fortunate that they have supported us as well.
And obviously bringing in the early arriving businesses that set the standard for the relationships between the state government, the business community, and the local community was a good precedent for follow-on businesses, I suspect.
Absolutely, and lowered the unemployment in that region because it doesn't take much to find people. I follow up. Yes, I still follow how well we're doing in some areas of the state, and I can't think of a better gift to employees than a job. And Japan helped us hire a lot of people, but it also gave our local communities opportunities from the business standpoint. When the Japanese came to Jackson, Tennessee, and Nashville, Tennessee, on a couple of occasions as well, we had a great time. We walked from the hotel down Beale Street, and we played golf. We were part of the friendship, and successfully, because we performed and we enjoyed it. And it's obvious that when you perform and you can take pride in the people who are hired and what it means to the company that is best.
And we've been told that the communities where Japanese investments were attracted to, those communities in the early days might have thought that foreign direct investment would not be a positive thing, but they discovered it wasn't exploitative, that it meant jobs and an increase to the local tax base and benefits that were all on the positive side.
Well, you know, that's a part of building trust, and they discovered they like each other. And sometimes people were afraid, well, when some people move in here, how will they treat us? And I'm sure from the Japanese standpoint, they thought the same thing. But we had great success in communicating both ways, and there was a lot of reason to succeed, and people appreciated having the job, and not only a job, but they had the right attitude. We didn't have to worry about that. Our employees appreciated the opportunities that they had.
And since you left office, the expansion has continued apace. Bridgestone has relocated and now is downtown Nashville in a sparkling new tower, and operations of the major manufacturers have increased, and new businesses continue to come, not just automotive, but all sorts of parts of different sectors. So I think the legacy of your administration and the earlier administrations, Governor Alexander and others, really is a testimony to what can be accomplished when that relationship building takes place and you become not just partners but friends.
Well, that's an interesting story. I spent a lot of time with the whole Nissan top guard, president, vice president, and others. And we had a trust there. But during my last month, I think December of, I think it was 2000, my second term, the president of Nissan committed to me that they would move their corporate office to Nashville. I flew Bredesen and our Washington delegation were all together, and with the president of Nissan, who told them, and he had committed to me that they were going to move their corporate office to Tennessee. You may not read that in the paper from what somebody else said, but success has a lot of plans. But the fact is, it paid off from my standpoint that we got a corporate office in Nissan, which is a major event. And that in line brought other corporate offices to Tennessee, because people would say, well, if Nissan moved to Tennessee as a corporate office, and Nashville hot as a pistol right now in terms of job creation and growth. So you have to expect that, and but the main thing is, did you get the job done, and did you create jobs for people and friends from Japan, and success stories for America too. And Tennessee led the nation so much, and we had a lot of good people like Lee Wyland, John Gregory, and so many people in every single county in Tennessee. We had a relationship, and we would work together and make presentations. I believe it was the most important thing I did during my 8 years was create jobs and opportunities and success stories for people in Japan and people in America, particularly in Tennessee.
Well, you certainly led the way during your administration, and the facts speak for themselves. A gain of over 300,000 jobs in the state, and an increase in capital investment of $40 billion. So congratulations on that success story.
Well, I was surprised, but appreciated being given an award by the Emperor. And there aren't many of them, 3 or 4, I think, a year, thanking me for what we had done together with Japan. I was supposed to go to Tokyo and receive the award directly from the Emperor, but I got sick at that time. I had something, and we moved it to Nashville, where we received that, I say, symbol of our personal involvement. And I think we did appreciate it, although it wasn't necessary.
Well, it's a fitting tribute. Governor, thanks for your time. Any final thoughts on the impact of Japanese investment in Tennessee? You talked about jobs, and prosperity in the state. Anything more you'd like to say on that, or any other aspect of the relationship?
It involved a lot of people before I came involved, and a lot of people should give a lot of credit. But I hope we helped heal wounds, create opportunities, make a lot of friends. And I loved my time doing this. I really like and appreciate Japan. And they were always gentle people. And it shows what can be done if you work together. And we did. And the people in Japan who remain dear friends today Kumagai was with Nissan, and many others that I still I'm cleaning up some pictures, and I see these pictures of dear friends. But I think our record shows at the time we spent, the meetings we had worked out, the opportunities we created were well worth the effort. And I want to thank everyone in Tennessee, but also our friends in Japan for the success that we've made together.
Terrific. That's an excellent close, Governor. Thank you again for your time. We've been talking with Governor Don Sundquist, the 47th governor of the state of Tennessee. He was governor from 1995 to 2003, a key period in the evolution of the U.S., Japan, and the Japan-Tennessee relationship, bringing trade and investment to the country and to the state, and bringing jobs and prosperity to our communities. Thanks again, Governor. And that's it for today. Everyone be well.